Social media has made it seem like solo traveling is one of the greatest experiences ever that everybody needs to experience at least once in their life. And I'm here to tell you that that's not true. Now, you're probably wondering, what do you mean it's not true? It's not, because I am one of the content creators that maybe I might have made traveling by myself look like such an experience. And after watching it, you're like, oh my god, I need to have this. And we all know social media. Social media sometimes might romanticize things that not everybody might see in the same light, right? Hear me out. Solo traveling isn't for everyone. It's not. And that's just the honest truth. And I feel like once we get to this conclusion, we all decide that this is just what it is, then a lot of us will stop, being so opinionated on the topic. Every single experience that everybody has is very individualistic, and at the end of the day, you might like something and somebody else might not like something. That's why we have opinions. That's why we all will differ in opinions all the time. Solo traveling is not for everybody, and that's totally fine. Now, you're probably wondering, Ashley, why are you saying this? Because you've solo traveled before and you seemed like you were having fun, and I absolutely was. But that's because I enjoy it. I've seen countless conversations on social media about people that say, solo traveling is not all that it's cracked up to be, and I did it and I hated it. And that does not make your opinion invalid. It is 100% valid, but you need to understand that, as I said, it just might not be for you, right? You're gonna be on your own in a foreign country. Does that make you uncomfortable? Let's get real here. Does it or does it not? And being uncomfortable is not a bad thing. Let me just say that as well, because maybe it's a case where you kind of want to push yourself outside of your comfort zone and you're saying, okay, I want to do this at least once, push myself outside of my comfort zone and see whether I like it or not. Completely okay. And I actually support that. I do. But that's not for everybody. Now, why do I keep saying this? Let's get into it. Now, let's be realistic. When you're traveling on your own, you're on your own. And I know it's supposed to be that straightforward. It's obvious, right? But I've seen some hot takes on social media, and I really have to wonder if people really sit and think about the decisions that they're making before they make them. You're on your own. That's the whole point of solo traveling. If you're not okay with being on your own, why are you traveling on your own? And then complaining about the fact that you're on your own and you're lonely. Now, loneliness, I feel like, is somewhat subjective, and being alone does not necessarily equate to being lonely. So I feel like that's a whole conversation for itself. But if you want to solo travel at least once, I feel like you have to get into the mindset, number one, that you're going to be on your own, and number two, you might have times when you're feeling uncomfortable or awkward in situations because you're on your own, and it might be a new experience for you, and that should be completely fine. I'm not saying that you're always going to be in situations where you're comfortable and you're not awkward, because it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. You're in a foreign country, you don't know anyone, you might not speak the language. It gets awkward, let's be honest, right? Especially if you're trying to speak in a language that you're not fluent in and you're making mistakes, right? But that's okay. That's the beauty of it, right? That's the beauty of travel. And I feel like once you come to that first conclusion, things might or will get better. That's what I think, at least, right? So once you sat down and thought about the fact that, okay, I'm on my own, I don't know anyone in this country, I don't have any friends here, I may or may not speak the language, and I have all of these activities planned, and I'm okay, I'm gonna do them on my own, and it's gonna be fine. Once we've crossed that bridge, I think we're on the right track, right? Because we need to make these decisions and really sit in them before we even start making plans, okay? Because let's just one step at a time, people. One step at a time. So once we've come to a moment of introspection and decide that, okay, I think I'm going to take the leap, then I think the next best thing is to do some research. Because I see a lot of people saying that sometimes they travel and they don't do much research. And that's okay, but I feel like, especially if you're a woman or you're a minority, I feel like not doing research before you go to a country is it can be a very dangerous thing to do. Very dangerous, depending on the country that you're going to, because you might not be welcome there, or you might be caught up in a situation where you didn't know that something that's okay in your country is not okay in theirs. And this is why it is important to research and know what is okay to do and what's not okay to do. We've all seen situations of people being locked up abroad, and I don't think you want that to be you. So please do your research on the country that you're going to. Find out what's allowed, find out what you can bring through the airport and what you can't bring through the airport. This is important. It could be that that country decides that, no, this is not allowed there. It could be for religious reasons, it could be for political reasons, that they don't allow things. Something as simple as camo. Okay, can you wear camo in this country? That's important to know. Okay, some countries take it very seriously. You can go to jail for things like that. It seems simple, but it's not for them. So do your research. Especially if you're a woman, you need to find out about safety, and I think this is really important. As a woman, is there anything that you need to think about when you are in a certain country? There are certain countries that don't have the best laws when it comes down to women, and you just need to apply yourself accordingly. If you're watching this video, then you're probably someone that does a little bit of research before you go somewhere, and that's good. You're on the right track. But I would also encourage you to watch YouTubers, travel YouTubers, but be mindful of the type of YouTubers that you're watching. Watch YouTubers that give you an authentic look of what it is like on the ground. People that don't exaggerate their content, because they do have some travel YouTubers that exaggerate certain types of content to perpetuate a certain stereotype of what a country is, which it is not. I live in Jamaica and I see it a lot. There's a lot of those Jamaican videos where they're like, oh my god, the most dangerous country in the world. Stop it. Okay, things like that happen in other countries. They do it in Colombia, they do it in Jamaica. I've been to Colombia. People are literally scared of going to Colombia and coming to my country because they're like, oh my god, it's so dangerous, I'm scared. And it's not what you think it is, but because of certain YouTubers and the content that they put out and the clicks that they get on content like this is what is sent out to mass media, and this is what people consume. And without people doing their own research and really seeing what it is like on the ground for the everyday, like what that's like, then they just assume that that's what life is like in this country, and it is not true. If it's a country that's so-called dangerous, you can still do your research. Look for content from YouTubers that live in the country and see what their life is like, see what they do on their day-to-day. What does that look like? I live in Jamaica. People can watch my content and see what my life is like on a day-to-day and see, what dangers I have to, contend with during my day-to-day life in the most dangerous country in the world, apparently. I don't know. Anyways, get my point. A lot of people told me were concerned for me when I was going to Colombia, because they were like, oh my god, it's so dangerous and I only see bad things about this place, and there's only this one name that people associate with Colombia because of a certain TV show. But is that the reality of living in Colombia? Not necessarily. Like, you do your research and you know that there are different parts of Colombia that you can go to, that you can travel to. Even the place that is so-called used to be one of the most dangerous parts of Colombia is now the safest part of Colombia, and I've been there and it was amazing. And I felt the most comfortable in that place than I did in the parts that they call the safe tourist area of Colombia in Medellin. That's just, that's why it is important to do your research and just really see what it is, because what tourists tell you sometimes might not be the truth, because tourists is going off of a tourist experience. Look for creators that live there. Trust me, they're not sugarcoating anything, so you would kind of get a more realistic view of what your experience in that country would look like. They're gonna give you the best of the best. They'll also give you some really good spots that you can hit up. They'll give you places that aren't super touristy, because tourist spots are gonna have tourist prices, and sometimes we don't want to pay tourist prices, right? Yeah, that's just my advice. Now, during your research, you're probably going to be looking at things like internet and data and insurances, and I will always recommend getting an eSIM. Now, this is just from my experience. Listen, tourist SIM cards and local data is sometimes, or most of the times, either the same price or way more expensive than getting an eSIM, and I will always recommend it. If it is that you're trying to get transportation, let's say from the airport to your accommodation, you need to have data on your phone, and you don't always want to be using airport Wi-Fi, because we all know airport Wi-Fi is not always the safest thing to be using, to be honest. So I would always recommend getting an eSIM. That way, you would have your SIM card already downloaded on your phone before you leave your home country. As soon as you turn off airplane mode when you land, you will be connected to the local network and you will have data as you land. That is the beauty of having an eSIM, and I will always recommend it. Let's just say I'm coming from learning this the hard way. I've gotten roaming on my phone once and it never worked my entire trip that I was in the foreign country, and it pissed me off so bad. And I learned my lesson. Okay, get an eSIM. I can highly recommend getting an eSIM. Do your research on the different kinds of eSIMs that are out there. I do use Airalo. I have a link in my description if you want to use it. This is not sponsored. This is just from my mistakes I've learned. Okay, get an eSIM. I also have a discount code if you want it, but in the description box. You're welcome. Now, the next thing is travel insurance. And people might think, oh, you know, travel insurance, whatever. I don't need that. Babes, especially if you're traveling on your own, it is better to be safe than to be sorry. Trust me. Number one, you are on your own. You don't know anyone. You literally are sometimes in a country that speaks a different language. You don't want to have an issue where you get into something and you have to be in a hospital paying some crazy bills, stuck in the country because you can't pay your bills, or some crazy horror story like that. I've seen them and you don't want to get caught up in that. So I recommend getting a travel insurance. Travel insurance also is not as expensive as a lot of people think. It's really not. I personally don't think it's as expensive. I thought it costed more, but it literally doesn't. Like, you can check out Safety Wing. Safety Wing is probably the most popular travel insurance I've seen, and that's the one I would personally use, to be very honest with you. It's subscription based, which is what I like about it, so you can cancel at any time. If you want to find out more information about it, you can check out the description box. Now, accommodation. Let me just say, accommodation really just depend on you, what you like, whether you prefer a hotel, an Airbnb, etc, etc. If you want to do a resort, listen, all up to you. But what I would say is that if you're going to do the Airbnb route, do your research, because some countries do not allow Airbnb stays to tourists, and also some of them might tell you that you can only stay at an Airbnb for a certain amount of time. Like, say for an instance, you can't stay at an Airbnb if you're staying in the country for a couple days. Like, you have to go to a hotel, like things like that. So do your research and make sure that it is okay for you to be in an Airbnb. Also, I would recommend, and I know, don't click off, I know some of you guys are gonna run when you hear this, but I would also recommend trying a hostel. I'm just saying. And I think there's a misconception. Hold on, pause don't skip. I know there's a misconception about hostels, and I've seen so many like hostels now that look just like boutique hotels, and I love boutique hotels. That's just what I usually go for. I prefer them to like big resorts and big hotels. I just like them better. I find them, usually they have a little bit more character. You know, it's smaller amount of people, it's more intimate. The staff, because the staff kind of gets to know you as well, because it's just a smaller establishment, and I love that because it also makes me feel a little safer when I kind of have like a relationship with the staff, the front decks and things like that, because they start kind of looking out for you in a way, which I think is great. And this is the reason I would recommend hostels as well, because I think you get that same kind of experience at a hostel where you kind of end up meeting people and people start kind of looking out for you. And I think that's really good. Whether you're introvert or extrovert, I think it will work for you, because I think a lot of people have this misconception about hostels. As I was saying earlier, hostels have single private rooms that you are not sharing facilities with anybody. Because you're staying in a hostel does not mean that you need to be bunking with other people. That is not the truth. And I feel like a lot of people think that's what it is, and it's not always the truth. Like, yes, you can choose that route, but you have the option at a lot of like newer hostels to get a room for yourself. The only thing is that you will have people in the common areas, just like a hotel. It's the same concept. It's literally the same concept. The only thing is that they have rooms or dorms where you can bunk with people. But if you want a room by yourself, you can have a room by yourself. But the plus side is that you, in a hostel, people are way more social, because they come there with the intention of kind of meeting people, because they're all kind of traveling as well. A lot of people that go to hostels are traveling solo, so it's a great place to meet people and maybe like do trips together or activities together. Of course, be careful, you know, because people can be shady, but you know, that's whether you go to a hotel or a hostel. It really doesn't change anything. But I'm just saying, But yeah, like it's an option. It's an option, and I think you should consider it. I know Selena is a popular hostel. They have locations across the world. You can check them out. I will link their website in the description box. I wish this was a sponsorship. But anyways, Selena is beautiful. I've been wanting to stay at Selena because I just love the vibe. I wanted to stay at the one in Colombia as well. The vibe is immaculate. As I said, they have private rooms where you're not sharing with anybody. But I love the vibe of being in a community with other people, and then they usually have events or activities. They have like parties at night. You know, it's just something to do if you're in a country on your own. And I think you might feel a sense of safety, you know, being around like-minded people. So I think it's an option. Check it out. I'll link it in the description if you're looking for a hostel. Obviously, they don't have accommodations in every single country. You can do your research and find others, but they are probably one of the most popular I've seen, and I really love their vibe. So yeah, now as I said before, I think solo traveling, you know, is not for everyone because I think it offers a lot of time for self-reflection, and a lot of people just don't like being by themselves. And I mean, I can't relate to that because I love my solitude, and I wouldn't say that I'm an introvert. I'm kind of in the middle. I'm an ambivert. So I can be social and I can be very introverted. I do lean more to the introverted spectrum, but I can be both if the situation calls for it. But yeah, I like my alone time. And you know, solo traveling really does make you sit and reflect a lot because you're alone, you're by yourself, you get a lot of time to think. And maybe that's why some people don't like it. It's a little too quiet. Maybe it's a little too quiet and they don't like that. But also it could be the fact that they're not able to be as social as they would like to. I feel like some extroverts might like solo traveling, but some might not. It really depends on what you like or how social you are, I guess. Because I know a lot of extroverts feed off of being around people and talking and having fun and things like that. And you might not be able to do that depending on where you go. And I know that might be an issue for some, you know, people when they're solo traveling. And I think that's why some people might feel a little lonely when they do it because they're so extroverted, and being away from people kind of makes you feel lonely, while as someone that's a little bit more introvert, being by themselves makes them happy. Like that's how they recharge, right? So I can understand why some people don't love it. And this is why I said in the very beginning that you have to sit and think whether being by yourself is something that you want to do, because you can't go in thinking that, oh my god, I'm gonna meet all these people and I'm gonna have the best time. And I'm not saying you're not gonna have a good time, because you probably will, but I'm saying that you can't go in thinking, oh my god, I'm gonna meet all these people, I'm gonna meet people that I can go on activities with, and etc, etc. That's not always the reality. And I'm not saying that it can't happen, because you can do things to make that happen. You can either stay at a boutique hotel, you could stay at a hostel, as I said before, or you could try to find like little groups where you can maybe find company once you land. Or even Bumble BFF is in some cities. You can check out Bumble BFF. I've done that in the past and that was great. I still talk to people that I've met through Bumble BFF to this day. Like I follow them on social media, we follow each other. That is great. That's also a great resource. But Bumble BFF is only really available in like major cities based on what I've seen. And mostly I think in like North America, and I don't know if they're in other continents. I don't remember. But you can check it out. And I'm not talking about just Bumble BFF in general. I'm talking about the host events. Bumble BFF usually have events and they don't have this in every country. That's what I mean, not the actual app, but the events. They usually have social events, especially like in the summertime, and it's usually open to people with the app. So you literally will see the events come up, and you can just go. I think you register. I don't remember how it goes. You usually register on the app, and then when you get there, you just show your code or something at the entrance, and then you just get let in. Sometimes they have free drinks and things like that, and it's just a great way to meet people in a new city. So I recommend it. You can check to see if there's any going on when you're traveling somewhere. But as I said, I think it's really in major cities. Like it's not everywhere, but depending on where you're traveling, you might see something to do. and I think that's great. Also, another option is Airbnb has like these activities that you can check out. They do group activities, and that is definitely an option. Like if you're going to be doing activities in a country, you can try to do group stuff. I did that in the past and that was really fun. Even if you're just, talking or interacting with people just for the event or the group activity, whatever it is that you're doing, at least during that time you have a community of people that are focused on this one thing together, and you get kind of interact and meet people. Even if it doesn't go any further than just that activity, it's still something to do. So I think that's definitely a way of going about things. Having these pockets of things to do during a trip, to meet people and just to do activities with people, is always a good idea. Some people might not like tourist group activities, but they're kind of fun. In my opinion, in my experience, they're actually pretty fun depending on what you're doing, because it's just you and a bunch of people exploring this new thing together, and in a foreign country, and you learn about people, you meet so many people from all over the world. Like, it's just fun and I absolutely love it. And I think you should try it. So I would definitely recommend that. Just have a good time, guys. Have a good time. Now, all of this yapping just to say, listen, if you feel like you're overthinking this whole solo traveling thing and you're scared of just taking that leap alone, I would tell you to try doing a solo date by yourself. And I know I'm probably like making this a lot more complicated than it needs to be, but I feel like if you're watching this video and you're still watching this video to this point, then maybe you need the little push. Maybe you need the extra push. And this is me telling you that, hey, take yourself out on a solo date. Plan a bunch of things for a day that maybe you'd want to do in a different city by yourself. I don't know, like maybe a group activity or something that you've been wanting to do for a while and you just haven't gotten around to do it. Plan to do that one thing by yourself, and then maybe take yourself to a restaurant and eat alone. Any little activity that you've maybe never done by yourself, or things that you know for sure you'll be doing in another country by yourself, try to do that. Plan a whole day of just doing those little activities by yourself in your home country, in your city, and see how you feel. Did you like it? Did you not like it? I feel like it might seem silly, but how do you feel after? Because there are people that just don't like doing those things by themselves. I've seen people that say no, they can't go to the movies by themselves, it feels awkward. No, they can't eat alone at a restaurant by themselves, they feel like everybody's looking at them. And in reality, ain't nobody care. No one cares. Have you ever sat in a restaurant and looked at a person sitting by themselves eating and thinking like, oh my god, they're by themselves? Have you ever done that? Because I sure haven't, because I don't care. I don't care. I'm focused on the food in front of me and the person in front of me, if there's someone in front of me. You get what I'm saying? So I feel like a lot of the times we overcomplicate things and we overthink things, and this is why I'm telling you, like, take yourself on a solo date. Just do it and see what you feel, how you feel. Did you like it? Didn't you like it? Did it push you outside of your comfort zone a little bit? Would you do it again? No, would you do it in a foreign country? Ask yourself those questions. And I feel like after asking yourself those questions and doing all of this, then you'd know for sure whether you can travel on your own. And I feel like it might feel daunting and you feel really anxious. I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna get lost and I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. But at the end of the day, you'll be fine. Common sense goes a long way. If you've done your research, you have nothing to worry about. Of course, try to use mostly ride sharing apps if the country offers some form of ride sharing, or find out about what's the most safe mode of transportation in a country. Get an eSIM so that you always have data, so you can always have access to Google Maps or whichever type of app they use in that country, because not every country uses the same things, guys. Some people don't use Google Maps. Some countries don't have Google. Okay, some people don't have Uber. So do your research and try to download all of those apps, figure out how to use them, and just take your time to explore. You will be fine. And if you get lost, maybe don't ask people on the street. Maybe go into a restaurant or like an establishment and be like, hey, can you help me find this? Because at least those kind of people you can trust. Or if you see a security guard, be like, hey, can you help me with this? If you don't speak the language, use Google Translate. Most of the time, people are very patient. People aren't going to be mean to you. It's very rare that you'll meet someone that's like really mean. I remember being in the train station and not knowing where the hell to go, and I used Google Translate to speak to one of the station assistant ladies, and she helped me out, and it was kind of awkward and weird, but I was fine. And I found where I needed to go. And I just feel like We're just overthinking things, guys. But as I said, figure out whether it's for you and then go have a good time. Okay? I hope you have a good time. And please, if you do end up going on a solo trip because of my video, I hope it was helpful. If you do end up going, please come back to this video and comment and let me know about your trip. Tell me how it was. Where did you go? Please, I would like to know. But hopefully I can get to do a solo trip very soon. I miss traveling. I haven't traveled in months. It feels like forever. But I hope you guys have a good, safe trip to wherever you're going. I hope you make the leap to travel on your own. It's probably gonna be it's probably gonna be a very memorable moment in your life. Whether you love it or you hate it, you're gonna remember it for a long time. That's all I can tell you. And I hope you guys enjoy this video. If there's anything else you guys want me to talk about, please let me know down below. Don't forget to like the video. If you're new here, please subscribe. I actually do content here in Jamaica mostly. I'm Jamaican, if you don't know. My name is Ashley, and I do vlogs every week of my life in Jamaica, and then some traveling content every now and then whenever I get the chance. I do have some solo travel content here on my channel, so if you want to check those out, you can check out my channel. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.